Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As I work my way through the MCU, this is going to be my review for Iron Man 2.
In every generation, there is chosen one girl in all the world. She alone will review the movies, TV shows, and books of geek culture. I am the chosen girl.
So the movie opens with Iron Man flying into the Stark Expo with AC/DC music in the background, and it's a really fun vibe. It really kind of gets you in the energy and in the moment of the movie, and it's a lot of fun. And we see some archived footage of Tony's dad, Howard Stark, kind of talking about the Stark Expo and the City of Tomorrow and everything, which is just kind of setting up something that's going to happen later on in the movie. So I kind of like the opening scene here. We learn that Tony's palladium core in his arc reactor is poisoning him, so he's basically dying, and the rest of the movie is kind of him trying to deal with that, and then obviously come up with a solution to it at the end. So that's kind of the core problem of Tony's journey throughout this movie. Tony then has to appear in court against the Senate Armed Services Committee because they want him to turn over the Iron Man suit because they think it's a weapon. And then we get introduced to Justin Hammer in this scene, who keeps referring to Tony as Anthony. And we learn that there's sort of rivalries, but that Hammer is kind of like less capable and competent than Tony. And then we also get introduced to the new Rhodey, played by Cheadle. And he's really fun. He comes in, he's like, yeah, it's me, I'm here. And I learned that he's the lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and he's the weapons procurement liaison. So I finally know what Rhodey does. I still don't know what that means, but at least that's his title. And Rhodey's really good in this movie. I like Cheadle in the role. I like the party scene where he puts on the suit to take down Tony, and Tony gives him the name War Machine. And then, of course, he comes back in the suit. I like when he's trying to get weapons from Hammer, and he's like, I want it. I want all of them. So I like Rhodey here. I like Cheadle in the role. I think he and Robert Downey Jr. have a lot more chemistry. They feel a lot more like peers and friends than Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr. did in the first movie. So I like Rhodey here. We also get the first appearance of Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanov, aka Black Widow, and she is undercover in this movie as Natalie Rushman. But I really like the opening scene with her in the ring with Happy, and Happy wants to try and teach her how to box, but of course she's the Black Widow, so she takes him out, and it's kind of a funny scene that I kind of enjoy, and it kind of is a callback towards the end of the movie where she has a cool fight scene and she's taking out everybody in the hallway, and then Happy's still like boxing with one dude. So I like Scarlett Johansson in the role. I like the reveal that she's the Black Widow when she meets up with Tony and Fury at the donut shop. And I like her continuing to stay undercover even after Tony knows. That's a lot of fun. So I like Black Widow here, and she gets a good fight scene at the end. Then we have the race car scene in like Monte Carlo or Monaco or wherever it is. But we get the appearance of Ivan Vanko, who is the other big villain in the movie. And he comes out with his whiplash suit, and he's like chopping cars in half. And it's really cool, actually. This is probably the best action scene in the movie, for sure. And maybe in a good one up there in the Iron Man trilogy as well. And Ivan Vanko is the son of Anton Vanko, who used to work for Howard Stark back in like the 60s. And he gave Ivan some old arc reactor blueprints, so Ivan was able to create his own suit, whiplash type weapons with it that can like chop cars in half. So this is his best scene in this whole movie, to be honest. I don't like the end scene that he has with the upgraded suit. This is the cooler scene. And of course Tony comes out with a briefcase that unfolds into the Iron Man suit, which I do like that, the briefcase mechanism itself. I wish we maybe would have got to see that again, but this is just like another evolution that he's doing with the Iron Man suits. And this is kind of where the Iron Man suits go from being somewhat practical to just magic, because there's no way a suit fits in a suitcase like that. But it's still a pretty cool fight scene. And then Tony kind of gets drunk and loses it at his birthday party, and then he's eating a donut inside the donut, and then he meets up with Nick Fury. And so we get Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. He of course appeared at the end credit scene of the first Iron Man. He comes in, he tells Tony all about S.H.I.E.L.D., he tells him all about his father, Howard was a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then he like drops all this old stuff of Howard's, including a bunch of video archive footage of Howard Stark, and gives it to Tony and tells him like, do research, you can figure this out. And then we also get the return of Agent Coulson, who has to leave and go off to New Mexico, which ties into the first Thor movie. And then also, I think this movie also shows the events of the Incredible Hulk movie. So those three movies like take place during like within a week of each other. So it's kind of the first tie-in to the greater MCU is in this movie. So that's kind of cool. And I always love seeing Nick Fury pop up. So Tony goes to watch all these old videos of Howard Stark. Howard basically tells him, hey, the key is the model of the Stark Expo. You need to figure it out, Tony. I know you can do it. And it's kind of a cool scene, you know, when Tony's, you know, sort of listening to the video, and then his dad says, Tony, you know, and then he gets his attention. So Tony mentions earlier that his dad was cold and unloving, and then we get a touching moment with Howard saying that Tony was the greatest thing he ever made or something. And so it's kind of taking that evolution of, you know, Tony and his relationship with his father, which I've always really loved. And we got hints of it in the first movie, and then we're developing in this movie, and we'll continue to develop it in further movies as well. So then Tony basically is able to create a new element because Howard said he could somehow from the past. He knew the future would happen. And it's, of course, very convenient that Tony needs this new element to replace the palladium in his reactor core so he's not poisoning himself and dying. And this all happens in like 2 days. Tony figures out the atomic structure based on the Stark Expo model. I don't know how Howard knew to put that into the model so that someday Tony would figure that out. Why wouldn't he just like say, put it in like a safe for Tony to discover when he gets older or something? Like, the model thing is a little bit much, I think. Like, that's a little too... There's just too many variables in there that would go wrong. But anyway, Tony creates a new element, of course. And so he gets the new arc reactor with the new arc reactor logo, which is like a little triangle thing. I prefer the old logo, like the circle and like the dots around it. I think that looks a little bit cooler than the triangle. But so Tony gets his new suit, and then he's off to the Stark Expo to take on Hammer and Ivan. So Hammer and Ivan have been working together, not very well. Ivan's mostly been annoying him in Russian. And Hammer is pretty incompetent on his own anyway, so great villains we got for this movie, right? I do like Hammer. I think Rockwell does a good job in the performance. It's a lot of fun. I don't know about Ivan. I think Mickey Rourke gives an okay performance. It's a little too weird. But then again, also, I mean, what's Ivan's motive? Like, he wants to take out Tony because, you know, Tony's dad got his dad deported and they were poor. I mean, he does mention in the prison cell something about showing the people that, you know, the Iron Man is not a god and he can be taken out. And so it's not really clear what his motives are, why he so badly wants to take out Tony Stark, and why it happens now. And then Hammer has just always had this rivalry, and so he's always been jealous of Tony, so I understand that. But they don't work well together as a team. Like, they never get on the same page. And that is pretty much their downfall in the end. Hammer gets caught by Pepper, and then Vanko, I mean, he like programs the droid bots to start killing people, and then they explode at the end, and then he gets into his new Whiplash suit, and it's a very, very short fight, and he gets taken out very quickly with Rhodey and Tony, and it's not a very good ending. They end up blowing up the Stark Expo, and Tony has to save Pepper just in the nick of time, and then finally they kiss, and they become a couple at the end of the movie. I still really like Tony and Pepper. I think it's a good... I like their dynamic here, with Tony kind of just getting in Pepper's way, and her always trying to clean up his mess, and she's running the company now, and that's her main focus. And I really like when they're talking about, you know, Natasha at the boxing scene. They have a lot of good banter and dialogue together, back and forth. So I still really like them. And of course now they're going to be a couple going forward, so that's fun. So overall, I like Iron Man 2. I know a lot of people kind of hate on it and don't like it. I will say it is the weakest of the 3 Iron Man movies, in my opinion. But I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I do like the introduction to Black Widow. I love seeing Tony and Pepper's relationship develop. I love Tony's relationship with his father develop. I like Rhodey. I like Don Cheadle as Rhodey. I like Sam Rockwell's performance as Justin Hammer. I like the opening scene with the Stark Expo, and I like the race car scenes. I think the movie's first half is better than the second half. I think if you just kind of focus on that first half, it's really fun, and then the second half kind of goes downhill a little bit more. There's a lot of good callbacks to the first movie, so I think there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. I still find Tony to be a good character. I love Pepper. I think that's what really draws me into these Marvel movies. I really love these characters. I love seeing them interact with each other. And so to me, as long as I have that, I can still enjoy the movies, even if the plot isn't great or the villains aren't great. So it's still pretty enjoyable. So I like Iron Man 2, but it is towards the bottom of the list of the MCU for me. So those are my thoughts on the Iron Man 2 movie. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's just kind of okay? What do you like about it? Do you like the Justin Hammer, like I kind of do? Do you like the race car scene? What do you think of Whiplash as a villain? I think he's kind of lame. So let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. I'll be doing weekly episode reviews for She-Hulk, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching the channel, and until next time, yeah, it's me. I'm here. Deal with it.